Enoch, the whole world is watching only one thing right now, and that's the World Cup, because it's here, it's today. And I think the entire planet is caught the football fever.
That's right, Joe. You know, sports has a way of stopping everything in its tracks.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have a soccer net, but we do have a net, a basketball one. And I was thinking
I saw that.
of testing your game, Joe.
You're going to test my game.
That's right. Let's see what you got.
Well, it's not much, but I'll give it a shot. Now, just so you know, I'm not going to bring 100% because, you know, people can't handle 100%. Oh. Wow, that was amazing.
Try it again. One more time,
one
Joe.
more. I'm going to try to hit the back at least this time.
Okay, not bad.
Okay, now let's see what you got.
Oh,
you made me do it. Let's see
you. You know, I never go into any game without a game plan.
Right.
So I brought a secret weapon. Two-time Olympian, Kayla Alexander. Kayla, you got to come.
Oh.
Yay!
All right.
My bad.
Hey, there we go. Not bad. Okay, listen, I concede it was never a fair fight. And you know what? And you got to do that in a dress, and you were still better than us.
You definitely were. And that's just the start.
Yeah.
Kayla's going to be here with us for the day, and we're going to get into her story, her journey, and everything that she went through. I'm excited, so stay with us.
And welcome back to 100 Huntley Street. And what a time to be a sports fan. There's so much going on right now. The World Cup is here, and the whole world is locked in. I'm Joe Amaral.
That's right, and I'm Enoch Mwamba, and there's nothing quite like it, Joe.
Yeah.
Every nation, billions of people will be watching.
I know.
And this is going to be on the world stage, and that level of competition is unlike anything you can imagine.
I can't imagine, you know, and that's the part people don't always see, right? It's the pressure behind it. You know, to even get to a stage like that, like, what does it actually take? The commitment, the discipline, right?
It takes everything, Joe, absolutely everything. And at that level, the talent is literally given. Everybody is skilled, and everyone is gifted. But what separates one from the other is literally what's on the inside.
Yeah.
And the discipline, the resilience.
Yeah.
Everybody has a story, but everybody has an opportunity to build their story. But their faith separates one from the other. So you got something that you need, and it's deeper than just yourself. That faith allows you to stand on something more than just yourself.
Yeah, you know, I want to hear more about that, about how faith affects and impacts you as an athlete out on that field or court or whatever it is.
Listen, the level of competition is so high, Joe, and it'll completely expose you. The highs, the lows, the injuries, the failures, the shortcomings. The performance is through the roof. You absolutely have to perform day in and day out. Yeah. And it's too unstable if you don't have faith.
That's right.
It gives you roots. That faith absolutely allows you to stand on your feet. It's absolutely what keeps you grounded. So it allows you to continue to move forward, and the whole world is watching that journey. So it allows you to stay rooted, John.
Yeah, staying rooted is so important because there's disappointment, there's frustration, there's pressure. You feel like you got to impress everybody. You know, well, being rooted, that's the perfect setup for what our guest is going to be talking about with you later today.
Absolutely. And it's coming up just shortly. So sit down, stay with us, and you'll be able to see just what happens. Kayla Alexander has an amazing journey. She's a two-time Olympian. She played overseas for multiple teams, and her faith has been at the center of it all. You will not want to miss this conversation.
It's World Cup week. From the field to the court and onto the world stage, you're going to hear inspiring stories from faith-filled athletes. All this week, we'll go for the gold. You don't want to miss a minute.
The whole world is locked into the World Cup this week, and there's nothing like the energy of representing your country on a global stage. My next guest knows that feeling firsthand. Kayla Alexander is one of the most accomplished basketball players this country has ever produced. Over 14 years as a pro, 8 seasons in the WNBA, and internationally played across Europe, Asia, and Australia, and most recently starring in Valencia, Spain, where she was named the EuroLeague Women's Best Player of the first phase. She's a proud member of Team Canada, the women's national team, and representing Canada at 2 Olympics, in Tokyo and in Paris, and at the World Cup in Sydney. Beyond basketball, Kayla is an author and an entrepreneur. And more than that, she absolutely loves Jesus. Kayla, welcome to 100 Huntley Street.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, man, so good to have you. Listen, I got to start with the obvious, because when you walk into a room, I'm sure a lot of people usually stare and look. Tell me, do you ever exist in a place where people don't, assume that you're a basketball player?
Very rarely, no. The height doesn't help, so.
It's a giveaway.
Yeah, at 6'4", you have a lot of people, a lot of eyes on you, and it's usually, do you play basketball or do you play volleyball? Which, it's fine. So I'm a ball player. I love my height, and I'm blessed to do what I do. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So we're going to get into your journey, and I can't wait to touch on every single point of it. But I want to start here, because World Cup is upon us, and it's something special. And even as a professional football player, I never got to represent the country. Can you talk to us about that feeling and what it's like wearing a jersey that has Canada in front of it?
Yeah, it's surreal, and to me, it's such an honor and a privilege, and I don't take it lightly, because it was so hard to get into that jersey. I remember when I tried out for the senior women's national team, it took me 3 attempts to make the team. The first 2 times I got cut. The third time when I finally made the team, I got injured. So it was like a delayed gratification, but I just stayed consistent, stayed faithful, and God allowed me to live out that dream, which I'm so thankful for. And I got to experience some incredible, just some cool experiences with the team.
That's absolutely awesome. Talk to me about like the beginnings of it all. How did it all begin? I mean, yeah, I'm sure you were tall at a young age, and was it always basketball? Did you have other dreams? Any thoughts of doing other things? How did you end up on a basketball court?
Yeah, so young Kayla I always thought I was going to be an art teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher, and I loved art. I loved to draw and paint. He always caught me with a pen and pencil in my hands. But in grade 7, my really good friend Nicole Murphy, she invited me to a basketball tryout with her. I went. I wasn't very good. But I was athletic and I was tall. And the coach, she told me, Kayla, I can't teach height, but I can teach you how to play basketball. And that began my basketball journey, and I haven't stopped playing since.
That's awesome. And how tall were you at that point already?
When I was 12, I was 5'8".
Wow.
Yeah, always in the back of the class photos, towering over all my classmates. So.
That's awesome. And then, okay, so then you started playing basketball. And then that led you to Syracuse. Between the start and to Syracuse, can you share a little bit about that stage in your life?
Yes. So I grew up in a Christian household. We always went to church every Sunday. We put on your Sunday best. But then when I started playing basketball, we stopped going to church consistently, because on the weekends, that's usually when you have tournaments. And so we had a lot of games. So I stopped going to church as frequently as I wanted to. But while I was playing, I played for Team Ontario. Then I played for the junior national team. And then I played for rep teams in the U.S., which allowed me to get scouted, which eventually led to me getting a scholarship to play at Syracuse University. And I was there for 4 years.
That's awesome. And I think people overlook the sacrifice that it takes to reach that level, the level that you're at, really, and the time that it takes as well. I remember before even, turning pro in football, thinking, if I'm going to go to the top of the top, I'm going to miss a lot of time in church. And I grew up in a Christian household like yourself. I started questioning and doubting, and like, is this really God's purpose for my life, or am I just doing this because I'm good? And I'm wondering if you ever had those thoughts, or just thinking that to yourself. I mean, you're tall, but am I just tall to play basketball? Is this really my purpose? I wonder if you ever had those thoughts.
Yes. I don't know if I was as strong in my faith when I was younger. So in my head, I was like, oh, I feel like basketball is kind of taking me away from God. But God is so faithful. Like the way he used all my journey to bring me back closer to him. So when I was at Syracuse, I had an amazing senior. Her name was Bianca. And she brought me to church with her. And then I also, through her, got connected to FCA, which is Fellowship with Christian Athletes.
Yes.
And through there, I got plugged in with other athletes who were believers. We had weekly meetings, started doing Bible studies, and after that, so after I graduated from Syracuse, there was a soccer player who went to FCA who ended up playing pro in San Antonio. When I got drafted to play in the W, I got drafted to San Antonio, got connected to him, and got to go to his church. So I feel like through every step and every way, God was always there. He was orchestrating. Like, he's like, okay, basketball brought you here, well, I'm going to make sure that you still get connected to me in some way, shape, or form. So,
isn't it beautiful when you look back and you see, man, God was so present. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that story, regardless of them, if they're athletes or not. I wonder though, right? You talk about being tall at a young age. You talk about, obviously, you were skilled enough to play on multiple teams that allowed for the exposure for you to get to the U.S. and Syracuse basketball. And I heard you're a Hall of Famer, too, over there. One of two? What? Amazing. You're so humble. You're like, yeah, I don't know what to say. You know? But my question then is, though, people would probably assume that, man, Kayla was born for this. She was built for this. Talk to me about the challenges. Talk to me about, the days that you even thought about quitting, perhaps.
Oh, yeah. So I remember one lesson I had to learn in college was about identity. Because for the longest time, I was always Kayla, the basketball player. Like, oh, it's Kayla, the ball player. She's so tall, basketball player. Like, that's how everybody knew me. And then when you get to Syracuse or you play at the college level, like, the pressure is different. Like, you want to compete. You want to be able to produce at a high level. And people are watching. There's expectations. And I remember, like, when we played well or I had a good game, I was, like, up here. And then when I had a poor game or the team wasn't doing well, I was down here. And I realized I was going on, like, an emotional roller coaster. And I was like, Kayla, this isn't sustainable and this isn't healthy. And that's when I had to realize, like, Kayla, your identity isn't in basketball. That's not who you are. It's just what God has allowed you to do. It's a gift that He's given you. Your true identity has to rest in Him because He is constant every single time. So that was something that I had to learn early on. And then also, too, in college as well, because it's a lot. Like, you're trying to balance playing basketball at a high level, your schoolwork, being a great teammate, a good person, just everything. I used to worry and stress a lot. Like, okay, I have practice, and I have to go get my weights in, and I have to get this assignment done, and how am I going to find the time? Trying to balance, like, a social life, and I had to let go of that and realize that, Kayla, God will provide. Like, you worrying doesn't add a day to your life. So if you trust God and believe in Him and seek Him first, everything else will be provided to you. And that took some time. Even today, I feel like that's something I'm still constantly learning. But in college, I really had to learn those two things if I want to even, like, breathe.
I believe it. I feel like God allows us to learn and grow at a slower pace. Yeah. But for us to still have that spiritual dependence on Him, and it's beautiful to see your growth from a spiritual perspective, especially as an athlete in basketball. Sports teaches you about teamwork, right? You mentioned the people that were around you and how they kind of helped you anchor yourself in your faith. What is there a particular verse or Bible story that for you really anchors you down and allows you to kind of stay grounded? And you've been in so many different places and cities. How does the Bible, the Word of God, allow you to be anchored and grounded?
There's been so many verses through different seasons of my life, and the Bible definitely helps to anchor me, and I think being in community as well. If I had to pick a verse right now, I'm just going to go with, I think it's Proverbs 16:9, just about how, like, we try to make our plans with the Lord orders our steps. Because I think sometimes I can try and get ahead or, like, try and plan, because I like to, like, have a plan for everything as athlete in me. I like to be prepared, have a plan, know where I'm going, and sometimes you have to just let go and be like, let God do His thing. So that's, you can have a plan, but know that God's going to order your steps, and, like, His will prevail at the end of the day.
Yes. It's so beautiful. And the tough part is relinquishing everything, right? They're giving God the control of your life.
Not easy.
Journey. It is absolutely not easy. Did you ever encounter, like, situations like injuries? Talk to me about how you utilized that particular verse to kind of see you through.
Yeah. So I talked about how I was trying to make the national team and how I got cut the first 2 times. And I finally made the team. I was so excited, only to go down. Literally, I think it's our second exhibition game with the MCL. And we were literally supposed to go leave for the Worlds in Tenerife later, so I couldn't go. That was frustrating. I've also experienced concussions. Again, when I was playing, I ended up doing my MCL and my PCL again. And honestly, just through all that, like, it's frustrating and it's annoying. But when you know that God has a plan for you, that He is in control. And I think it's Jeremiah 29:11, like, you know, the plans God has for you, hope in the future. When you can truly surrender and trust, like, okay, God is the author. He is the one who gave me my life. He's the one who created the world. He has a plan and purpose for everything. When you can truly surrender that and believe that, you let go and you're like, okay, God, you got me. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know what purpose this is for, but I trust you. And God has a way of working everything out.
Absolutely. Again, it's a tough thing. Simply said, it's simple to say, but it's harder to put into practice. You touched on identity, and I think it's such a huge piece. And for someone like yourself who's been around different cities and countries and played for some time now, the identity piece to me is so huge. And I'm sure you've seen it too with former teammates or current teammates who kind of, make their sport their identity. Yeah. And if someone's watching out there, they're not necessarily athletes, they could probably relate to that same topic and just topic of identity. Mm-hmm. Because it could be your job, it could be your sport, it could be what you do, but what you do is not who you are. Yeah. Can you share with us what is the biggest way that allowed you to kind of separate the two?
Oh, the biggest way to separate the two. So I'm going to share, recently I got connected with the church, and this is about 2 years ago. I was in France playing, and I was kind of drifting in my faith, if I'm being honest, because I just wasn't plugged into a community. So it's when you claim to be a believer, but you don't have others around you to be like a mirror and iron sharpens iron. If you don't have that, sometimes you can drift. And I found that was happening to me. So I called a friend, asked her to connect me with a church. She did, and we started doing Bible studies. And then through that church, I just learned so much just about what it means to be a true disciple, to what it means to truly follow God, to pick up your cross, to realize it's not about you. It's about we're so blessed that we have this life, and it's about serving God in this lifetime, and what you do in this life determines the next one. So when I got to the root of that and truly understanding what it means to be a true disciple, I think that changed everything. Realizing Kayla, God has a plan for you. He wants to do great things through you for his kingdom. And when you let that go, it's not about you, but about serving God, it totally changes your perspective.
That's so beautiful. Outside of basketball, who is Kayla Alexander? What kind of things are you interested in?
Ooh, there's a lot. So young Kayla always loved art, and I never lost that. I don't have as much time for it as I'd like, but several years ago, my sister and I, we co-wrote a children's book together called The Magic of Basketball, and it just basically outlined my journey through the game of sports and all the magical gifts it gave me along the way. And I wrote that because I just wanted to encourage young kids, especially young girls, to stay in sports because of all the blessings and opportunities it can provide you. I'm an entrepreneur with my friend Nicole, who got me into basketball. We started a business called Tall Size that allows tall girls to shop clothes and shoes designed for their bodies, because growing up as a tall girl, it was impossible to go into a mall or to a clothing store and find something that fit me. And I didn't like that feeling like I didn't belong or there was something wrong with me. And I wanted the future young girls to realize, and tall girls, nothing is wrong with you. God created you exactly as you are, and we're going to create a platform where you can go and find clothes and shoes that fit you.
My wife is not as tall as you, but she's a tall woman. Yes. So where can she go to get some of your stuff? And all the tall women also watching, where can they go to kind of get some of your gear?
Tallsize.com.
Okay.
We want to do a play because it's always plus size, petite size. We're what about tall? So tallsize.com, and that's where you can shop. You can shop over 50 different brands in one location.
That's beautiful. I'm going to ask you to share. Maybe there are some young girls who are watching this and saying, I want to continue to grow in my faith. I also want to play a sport, or I want to do something else. I want to be like Kayla. You talked about the book that you wrote and all the magic that comes with your journey. Can you share with them, talk to them, what is the biggest lesson? I know you got multiple. The biggest lesson that you would leave to them so that they can also be encouraged on their journey?
The biggest lesson or thing I would share is, one, God made you who you are. He gave you your gifts and your talents, so use them. Don't be afraid to dream big and to dream big dreams, because God can do the impossible. But with all of that being said, I think it's Matthew 6:33, I could be wrong. Seek first the kingdom of God. If you do that, seek God first in everything that you do, God will take care of the rest. If you seek God and you give your whole heart, and then you give your whole heart with basketball or whatever it is that you're passionate about, but He's at the center of it, the things that He can do is undeniable.
Man, thank you. Thank you so much. I love that. Your story, your journey. I wish we had more time to talk, but your journey is so inspiring, Kayla. It inspires not only myself, but a lot of people who are going to be watching this as well. I'm excited to kind of see the next steps and where you're going and headed and how you're going to continue to represent this country. But Kayla, thank you again. And your purpose is truly able to be seen through the way that you talk, the way that you walk, and your journey and your steps. So as you continue on your journey, I pray that God continues to be with you and you continue to carry his name. Thank you. Joe, over to you.
Hey, thank you so much, guys. What a great conversation. You know, we just heard from a professional athlete, right? A basketball player who understands something important. It's this, that whatever platform God gives you, it's not just for you. And whether it's on a court, in a locker room, on a television, in front of a television camera, a workplace, you know, a classroom, or maybe even a kitchen table, or a conversation with one person who needs encouragement, remember this, that our words, they matter. And sometimes we forget how powerful they really are. You know, a simple word of encouragement can give someone strength to keep going. A kind word can lift a heavy heart. And a prayer spoken in faith can remind someone that they're not alone. And a testimony shared at the right moment can point someone back to the goodness of God. Proverbs 18:21 says that the tongue has the power of life and death. We've all heard this. And that means that our words, they're not small, that they carry weight, and they can build up or they can tear down. They can create courage or they can even deepen discouragement. But as followers of Jesus, we're called to use our words differently. That's why in Ephesians 4:29 it says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building up others." What a beautiful and a powerful invitation that we get to speak hope. We can speak life, we can speak truth, and we can speak faith into someone's situation. And you may not think you have a platform, but you do. Your family, that's a platform. Your workplace, that's a platform. Your social media, that's a platform. And your friendships, they're platforms as well. So guys, don't underestimate what God can do through your words. Encourage the weary, pray with the hurting, tell someone what God has done, and declare his goodness and his faithfulness wherever he has placed you. Because in a world that's often so loud with fear, anger, and division, your voice can carry that sound of grace that someone needs to hear. And so to help us think more deeply about the words that we speak, here's best-selling author Christine Caine.
God has so much to say to us in his word about our words because our words matter to him and also our words matter to other people. Paul writes in Colossians chapter 3 verses 8 to 10, "But now you also put them all aside, anger, wrath, malice, slander, and abusive speech from your mouth. Do not lie to one another, since you laid aside the old self with its evil practices and have put on the new self, who is being renewed to a true knowledge according to the image of the one who created him." So right here, Paul is telling the Colossians and us that we must consciously choose to put aside this list of negative, destructive things that so easily spews forth from our mouths. Now, it's sobering when you go through this list because if we're honest, we have all probably fallen short somewhere. Perhaps now is the time to stop rationalizing and justifying our anger or our wrath or malice or slander or even lying to each other and bring it to the feet of Jesus. We need to repent. We need to ask him to help us have a fresh start. One where, you know what, we no longer allow these things to come out of our mouths. Okay, since every one of us is squirming right now, including me, who is teaching this lesson, let's just go a little bit deeper. In Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29, Paul tells us that we should let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification, according to the need of the moment, so that it will give grace to those who hear. And in Matthew chapter 12, verse 36 and 37, Jesus said, "But I tell you that every careless word that people speak, they shall give an accounting for it in the day of judgment. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned." I guess I really don't need to expound on these verses, because truth be told, there is no misunderstanding them. They are what they are, and they mean what they say. The issue is whether you and I will be willing to obey them. If you found yourself drifting in this area, Now perhaps is the time to do just an inventory and assess how much time you're spending maybe on social media or sitting at tables where these negative things are just a part of normal conversations. Or examine the condition of your heart, because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. I know this is not easy, and I know it's not going to feel comfortable at first. But you're going to have to disrupt and interrupt this pattern of talking negatively, or it will never change. I want to remind you that on the other side of your obedience lies peace and love and joy and life and freedom. Our words matter. They really do.
Sometimes life feels heavy. The prayers you whisper, the battles no one sees. And in those moments, you may wonder, God, how do I keep going? This month, as our thanks for your ministry support of Crossroads and 100 Huntley Street, we're delighted to offer the book, The Faith to Flourish by Christine Kane.
God's not forgotten you. He sees you. He knows. He cares. And He never, ever, ever, ever forgets us.
Rooted in the imagery of Psalm 52, Christine shows how God can grow deep faith in you, helping you stand firm and flourish in every season.
On the other side of your obedience lies peace and love and joy and life and freedom.
With a gift of $75 or more, or when you become a new monthly partner, request your copy. Call 1-800-265-3100 or visit crossroads.ca/flourish.
Wow. That book is called The Faith to Flourish by Christine Kane, and it's built on a beautiful picture from Psalm 52, a tree planted by God with roots deep enough to stand through any storm, Joe.
Yeah, and that's a powerful word, no matter what season you're in, being planted, being rooted, because the waves come and the water come, and if you're not planted right, you go bye-bye. So it's super important. So this is all about how to become resilient and fruitful, and we'd love to put this in your hands. And as a thanks for your gift of $75 or more, we want to send this out to you, so you can call either 1-800-265-3100, or you can go online to crossroads.ca/flourish.
Being planted to flourish, I feel like, is the theme of really your life, Kayla.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about the importance of being planted in building a community so that you can flourish?
Yes, I know from my own personal walk with the Lord, when I got planted into a truly biblical church, surrounded by community, that's when my faith changed. And when we see in the Bible, we see that Jesus was constantly with his disciples. He was constantly in community. We're not meant to do this walk alone. We're meant to do it with other believers and others who are truly locked into the Word of God.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like I played on multiple teams myself, and every time my prayer was always, God, I know if you're sending me, you better have someone out there with me. Please have someone out there with me as well so that I can get encouraged as well.
Yeah, this whole idea of being rooted is, like I said already, it's so important. And I've been in many countries around the world. I've been, affected by hurricanes and tornadoes and powerful winds that have come. And you've seen trees that are small that have small roots, they just fall off to the side. But those big trees, where the roots go down deep, man, the wind comes, the storms come, and they stand. And that's what we want for you. And that's what I loved about your story. Here you are, you're a young woman, you're a professional athlete, and you have this level head and this maturity and this wisdom beyond your years. And I've often joked with other guests and said, when I grow up, I want to be just like you.
As tall as her, or?
Well, that's not going to happen. No, but thank you for sharing, and especially when you talk to young girls there at the end. That's so important because we live in a world where, in sports, a lot of guys get the attention, but I love that you're bringing attention to women and honoring them and just helping build them up. So thanks for sharing your story today.
Thank you. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, people like you are totally needed, because sometimes people feel, oh no, I don't know if being a believer and playing sports at a high level is possible, but you're totally showing that, and we are extremely appreciative.
Now, before we go, take us out. Maybe one more shout for the road. What do you think?
Let's go.
Go, 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 go.
You got this.
Thank you for your ongoing support of Crossroads, a supporter-funded nonprofit organization and member of the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities. Thanks to faithful people like you, we are able to continue producing 100 Huntley Street. You can write to Crossroads, P.O. Box 5100, Burlington, Ontario, L7R4M2, or visit crossroads.ca to learn more about our programs.